chase the ace. They are hot on the tail of the beast, which is running scared in front of them. Mona, on Amedicus's shoulders, tries to duck branches as they whack her in the face. The helmet is now paying off. She hangs on, tight gripped, to Amedicus's coat collar and to her sanity. His shoulders are bony. She feels them even from under his coat. His smell reminds her of when Mum used to come home from the vet's office. He smells of flowery perfume, makeup and washed clothes. But just underneath there is a hidden smell of clinical things and animals. Amedicus is running at almost inhuman speeds, using the trees and surroundings like a skilled gymnast. Swinging, flipping, somersaulting, his coattails flailing like his jet stream cheerleaders. She wonders how he's able to do this, especially in pointed leather boots. His little black furred companion, carrying the large black bag, is less than elegant. He scampers on his two short legs, like a stretched wobbling weasel, and has the grace of an angry crab falling downstairs. Amedicus somersaults over a fallen tree. Mona panic grips his pointy chin hard and tight. Not so tight, it might come off, exclaims Amedicus. Mona quickly grips back on his coat collar, tighter. Amedicus is fully focused on the chase, but takes time to briefly look up at Mona and give her a polite tip of the hat. Name's Amedicus. The grumpy fellow following is called Tiny, my head of security. If your sauce box is working, shout out your name. Sauce box? What? Mona ducks a branch while answering in a confused whisper. Strange name, but it does prove your lug holes work. That's a positive. Amedicus points to his ears. Mona's brain is still trying to piece her broken reality shapes back in place. What? Who? Two very good questions. Amedicus shoots back positively. Here's one for you. Why didn't you run when the monster roared at you? You just stood there. Your head imbecile-ridden? Or the smell? Mona offers quickly. Your parish pickaxe is on point. Amedicus points to his nose. They are gaining on the beast ahead. Why did the stank strike you still? Mona in more of an unsure whisper. Because the beast throws a tree stump back at them, but Amedicus gracefully flips out of its way, never stopping the chase. Mona's nerves are giving way to joyful excitement. She drinks in the rushing wind, acrobatics and blurry scenery. She risks a smile. Because, let's see if your mind has the metal. Amedicus prompts an answer. Mona, now loud, confident, wanting all her knowledge to come out at once. Because when he roared, his mouth opened wide, wide, wide. The smell smacked me. Then I saw his tooth. One of the big ones at the front. It was rotten and full of oozy stuff. He wasn't roaring at night because he was angry. He wasn't roaring at me because he wanted to eat me. He was trying to say he had toothache. Amedicus's eyes glisten as he smiles wide, as if greeting a missed loved one. Someone who uses their eyes, ears, nose, brain and heart seems like they would make a smashing protege. What do you think, Tiny? Tiny, running alongside them, looks unimpressed. Mona is confused by the word and suggestion. Protege? But Amedicus swiftly turns left and out of the forest. They come to a stop. A branch bounces off Mona's batter's helmet. As Mona moves the leaves from her eyes, she is shocked to see the monster panting hard, standing ready to fight in front of her. Behind him, a cliff edge leads straight down to rushing river rapids. Medicus puts on a calm, pragmatic tone. Now, approaching a cornered, scared, angry beaster with toothache is a very delicate operation. As you can imagine, subtlety and finesse is paramount. Or we could use Tiny as a buzzkill bomb. Tiny's expression turns to true terror moments before Medicus flicks him with his pointy boot at the snarling beast. Tiny hits the monster square in the face, then quickly climbs around and around the beast's body like a squirrel from a barking dog. Twirling around, the beast tries and fails to grab Tiny from various places on his hulking mass. Medicus picks up the doctor's bag and hands it to Mona and jumps on the monster's back. Jaw clamp from the bag! The bag is old, really old. The black leather has taken a beating and looks like it's only the scars and stains holding it together. Hanging on for her life, Mona rummages through the doctor's bag, not recognising any of the crazy contraptions inside. You see, the patients can be reluctant to treatment. Medicus continues to clarify as the beast bucks and spins. This one is scared of the dentist, needs some cajoling. How's the jaw clamp coming? Mona can't even guess what it looks like. She hands him a crutch instead. Medicus nods approvingly. Close enough. The thrashing giant finally grabs Tiny in his massive hands. He puts him in his mouth and is about to chomp down. Medicus shoves the crutch in, knocking Tiny out. The apparatus holds the monster's mouth open. Tiny hits the floor with a crunch. Pliers! Toot sweet! Says Medicus with polite urgency. She hands him pliers from the bag, the only tool she does recognise. His hands plunge into the monster's meat-grinding mouth, pulling at the bad tooth quick as a flash. The tooth doesn't budge, but the horned colossus starts to freak even more, spinning around and around, faster and faster, howling, getting closer and closer to the edge of the cliff. Dirt and earth gets ripped up as he staggers around in pain and anger, ever closer to the deadly drop. In the swirling struggle, Mona's shoe comes off, flying into a bush. Her batter's helmet comes loose, going over the cliff, falling for ages before finally splashing hard into the whirling rapids far below. The three of them are in an entangled dance battle, whirling around to become one strange multi-limbed figure. They spin dangerously close to the edge, one misstep from going over. Mona's fear, plus her concern for the beast and new friend, makes her act. She gets her own pliers out of her pocket. She climbs over Medicus and onto the swirling beast's snout. She uses the monster's horn as leverage and also pulls on the tooth Medicus is trying to lever out. They both pull just as one of the beast's big feet goes over the edge. The tooth gives. Everyone falls to the ground. Earth and dust bounce up. The massive tooth tumbles and rolls to a stop just in front of Mona's face. Before anyone else is on their feet, Medicus has reached into his bag and brought out some soothing ointment in a jar. He rushes over to the monster and quickly shoves a handful on the missing tooth cavity. He draws his hand back out and it's covered in drool. The monster now has time to think. It sits up in anger and then starts to feel the hole where his tooth should be. He sticks his tongue through the gap in the smile and wiggles it. His anger disperses, much like the pain from his tooth inside of his mouth now comfortably numb. As the dust from the commotion begins to settle, everyone is sitting up in comfortable silence. Tiny still looks annoyed as ever. Medicus addresses the now calm brute. Please refrain from the sweet treats. The monster looks timid and ashamed. Mona looks at her shoeless foot, Her big toe is poking out of a hole in her sock. She looks beyond to see the huge hulking toes of the creature as she sits quietly. The thin rope she used to capture him is still around his big toe. Mona gives her awestruck thoughts a whispered voice. They are real. Monsters are real. Mona smiles. The monster smiles back at her. His smile shows his big row of massive teeth and a big gummy hole where one is now missing. Mona wiggles her toes to the monster as a wave hello. Hi, Big Gummy, says an elated Mona. Big Gummy wiggles his toes back at her. Tiny rolls his eyes. Mona looks over to the extracted tooth. It's huge, as big as her head. It's serrated sharp, yellow with plaque build-up, and a black angry pain hole underneath. Her tongue unconsciously runs over her own teeth. Maybe Dad is right and she should clean them twice a day. She picks up the tooth. It's heavy in physical and mental weight. The evidence is big enough to send the world sideways, and she has it in her hands. She whispers to herself, but speaks to every human on the planet. Real. Americus jumps up vivaciously to his feet, wound and ready to go again. Fancy a gumdrop? Ready to be my protege? One of those is a very important question. Americus offers Mona a gumdrop from a paper bag full of little multicoloured candy sweets and says quietly, Don't choose a blue one. Mona gets her composure back and she realises just what has happened and what danger Americus put her in. Shock and anger trips the words coming out of her mouth. What are you on about, you maniac? Running, flipping around the woods? You could have got me killed. Look at the ledge. Look at the drop. I don't want to be your protege, your apprentice, or your pal. It's too dangerous. All I want is evidence that monsters exist, and I'm going to get it. Mona reaches into her backpack, pulls out her phone, opens the camera app, and prepares to take a photo of the sitting monster. Americus immediately photobombs it, stepping right in the way, just as Mona takes the photo. She gets a blurry Big Gummy in the background and a close-up of Americus offering her the small candy bits. Was that a yes to the gumdrop? Americus shakes the sweet bag. Out of the way! Mona barks. I don't want your candy or to be your apprentice. I can't do what you do. Flips and jumps and danger. I'm not brave or athletic or even a whole person. Americus looks befuddled. Nonsense! You are exactly the person we need. You didn't see the scary creature. You saw something in pain. Something that needed help. Mona shakes her head and looks at the floor. Americus, in his long-armed, elegant movement, sticks the bag of sweets right under her nose. Mona looks in the bag at the sparkling coloured jelly sweets. In a huff, and to stop Americus asking again, she grabs a red one and puts it in her mouth. It's surprisingly nice, but she doesn't want to show it. She looks up at Americus with conviction in her eyes. I came to hunt a monster. Americus bends and slowly leans in close. Big nose next to hers again. He whispers, Do you know what's better? Oh, so much better than hunting monsters. It's helping them. Americus looks across at Big Gummy, who is now laughing and playing with the bugs, which are crawling on pretty flowers like a silly kid. He has been in pain for weeks. You recognize that. You helped him. You took the pain away. That's a gift you have and a gift you gave. You can be the person who takes the pain away from all the creatures like him. The ones who are suffering and don't know how to ask for help or how to help themselves. You can help them all. But I need to show my classmates. I need to show them they're real freaks for reals. And I'm not one of them. Mona now argues mainly with herself. Big Gummy finds Mona's shoe in the bush and tries to put it on his own massive foot. I'm in the area for a few days treating my sick patients, begins Amedicus. After that, I will have to move on to treat other sick Whooperuses and such elsewhere. You spend a few days helping to administer some medicines, maybe a band-aid, a tablet or two. If you like what you are doing, helping, I can train you to help all the unusual creatures in this forest when I can't be here. If you don't like it, then I will give you all the evidence you need. I will have a myriad of beasters march into the town square and shake the hands of all the human inhabitants. I will invite people from all around to come and take pictographs with shaggy skillamalinks, and I will even have Tiny whirl and waltz for your stunned classmates. Tiny is wrestling Big Gummy to get Mona's shoe back. Tiny stops and looks at Amedicus, unimpressed he has been offered up as a prize. But you know why I'm certain you are going to make a fine apprentice? Amedicus says, starting a smile. Why? Asks Mona, who looks up reluctantly from the ground, trying to hold in self-doubting tears. Amedicus's smile is now full, beaming with bright white teeth, taking up most of his face. You didn't choose the blue gumdrop. He gives a mischievous wink. Amedicus takes a blue gumdrop and pops it in his mouth. His tongue already looks blue. Mona, still trying to look for a way out of the deal. I don't like doctors. They made my mum go away. Lucky I'm not a doctor. I'm a healer. Amedicus the healer, says Amedicus, sucking on his blue sweet. Deal? 2 days to convince you to help instead of hunt? Amedicus puts out his gloved, long-fingered hand. Mona agrees, but has her own plan in mind. Deal, but I'm expecting you to join Tiny in that funky dance routine for my class. No flossing. They shake on it. Mona fist bumps it after, to Amedicus's surprise and confusion. The energy he gives off is that of a shaken fizzy energy drink about to explode on the next unsuspecting person who opens it. Right, on to the next patient. It can't be any worse, right? Mona questions. Amedicus shrugs. Big Gummy, the Whooperus Beast, smiles awkwardly, showing his new gap. Tiny throws Mona's shoe at her head. It bounces off. Tiny and Amedicus join Big Gummy playing with the flowers and bugs. When they are not looking, Mona takes a photo of the beast's pulled tooth with her phone and then quickly puts her phone back. Tiny side-eyes Mona suspiciously. Mona smiles awkwardly back at him. Tiny walks over to the tooth, which is the same size as him, and he tries to lift it. With a struggle and some cajoling, he puts it in the worn doctor's bag. He gives a still smiling Mona one more glance before he goes back to chasing bugs with the others. Mona drops the fake smile and opens her class group app on her phone. Under the Mona's Monsters thread, she posts the photo of the tooth and the photo of a blurry Big Gummy, which Amedicus photobombed too. She types, "Monsters are real, with real's big teeth."